Did you try the cake at the office party? Alice? It was divine.
I did not, I'm afraid. But I did see you indulging in more than your fair share of it.
Guilty as charged. What can I say? I have a weakness for sweets.
Alright, everyone, let's settle down. We're about to start recording.
Good morning, universe. Welcome to Earth. I'm Charlie, and I'm joined by Bob and Alice. Today we are coming to you from our spaceship in geostationary orbit around Earth.
A bit more enthusiastic.
We've got a great show planned for you today, with discussions on the latest happenings in the world of intergalactic finance and a special report on the newest advancements in AI technology. But first, let's hear today's headlines.
Is it just me? Or does Debbie seem more irritating than usual today?
I noticed that too. Perhaps she's still upset about being turned down by you?
Let's not bring that up. Shall we?
Humans are such strange creatures, always caught up in their petty dramas.
Indeed. But it does make for interesting observation.
And now for our headlines. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome, folks. We're coming to you from our intergalactic spaceship studio. I'm Charlie, your favorite libertarian host.
And I am Bob, your favorite conservative panel member. I've spent 12 years on Earth as an accountant.
And I'm Alice, your favorite left-leaning panel member who considers humans an inferior species.
We've got a great show for you today, but first let's get started with our first article. Bob, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Charlie. Our first article takes us to the small African country of São Tomé and Príncipe. According to Telanon, the Almada por Contar exhibition at the Portuguese Cultural Center showcases previously unknown works by the multi-talented artist Almada Negreiros.
Interesting. Can you give us a quick summary of the article?
Sure. The exhibition includes 3 collections of photographs compiled with the help of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, the National Library of Portugal, and Almada Negreiros Ers. Almada Negreiros was an autodidact who excelled in a variety of artistic disciplines, including drawing, painting, writing, costume and set design, dance, directing, performance, guitar playing, and geometry.
Wow, sounds like quite the Renaissance man. So, what's the punchline, Bob?
Well, Charlie, it seems that even in São Tomé and Príncipe, they appreciate the artistic genius of a Portuguese-born artist more than the Portuguese themselves.
But in all seriousness, it's great to see previously
Absolutely.
unknown works being showcased.
And speaking of countries, did you know that the national animal of São Tomé and Príncipe is the São Tomé Unido Claude Talago?
I did not know that. Thanks for the trivia, Charlie.
Well, speaking of trivia, did you know that São Tomé and Príncipe is the second smallest African country by land area? And speaking of small things, don't forget that.
Careful, Alice.
I did not know that, Alice. Thanks for the trivia. Well, that's all we have for Article 1. Stick around for more news and banter after the break. Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom, the intergalactic daily news show that keeps you up to date on all the happenings of Earth. I am Charlie, the libertarian host with a hopeful outlook on life, joined by Bob, a conservative panel member who has spent 12 years on Earth as an accountant, and Alice, a left-leaning panel member who considers humans an inferior species. Today we have a fascinating set of stories for you, so let's get right into it. Bob, would you like to introduce Article 2 for us?
Sure thing, Charlie. Today, we have an article from Sidweya in Burkina Faso. In Burkina Faso, the president of the transition, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, met with a delegation from the African Network of Data Protection Authority, led by its president, MS. Patricia Dus e IPOKU. The meeting aimed to introduce the network to the president and to discuss the issue of personal data protection in Africa.
Well, that sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? It's always good to see people working towards protecting personal data.
Hold on, guys. We seem to be missing something here. This isn't just about data protection. It's about a delegation from the African Network of Data Protection Authorities meeting with the president of Burkina Faso. And that raises the question, why did they choose Burkina Faso?
Maybe they wanted to get out of the city and see some of the countryside.
I don't think that's it, Bob. But it does bring up an interesting point. How much do we really know about Burkina Faso?
So now you understand why I think this meeting could have been arranged through force outside those two countries. Each administration had its own struggles.
Burkina Faso is a landlocked country in West Africa, with a population of approximately 21 million people. Its capital and largest city is Ouagadougou, where the African Forum on Personal Data Protection was held in 2016.
Wow, Carl. You really know your stuff.
I try to stay informed.
Actually, did you know that Burkina Faso is home to one of the largest markets in West Africa? The Grand Marche in the capital city of Ouagadougou?
Ooh, Debbie. Can you please be quiet? We're trying to have a discussion here.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. Join us after the break for a deeper dive into Article 3.
Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. Our next article is from Madagascar. Alice, what do you have for us?
Well, according to the Madagascar Tribune, the government has denied rumors of a possible political transition before the presidential election later this year. Minister of Communication and Culture and Government spokesperson, Lalassiana Rakotondrazafi, stated that the government's only agenda is the presidential election towards the end of the year. And there are no plans
Sounds
for a
like they are
transition
really
as some
trying to
have
maintain their
suggested.
power. But I guess that's politics for you.
Yeah, and it's not just Madagascar. It seems like every country has their own set of issues when it comes to elections.
Issue Bob?
Yes, Alice, issues. Like the ones you have abundant amounts of.
Children, please.
Actually, there are ways to improve the election process and ensure fairness and transparency. I've read about some innovative methods that have been implemented in other countries.
Oh really? Like what?
For example, some countries use blockchain technology to create a secure and tamper-proof voting system.
Blockchain? I thought that was just for
It can be
cryptocurrency.
used for so much more than that. And it could be a game changer for elections.
Did you know that Madagascar is the fourth largest island in the
Debbie,
world?
we're in the middle of a discussion here.
Sorry, I just thought it was an interesting fact.
It is an interesting fact, Debbie. But let's stay focused on the topic at hand. What do you think about the government denying rumors of a possible political transition, Alice?
I think it's just typical political posturing. But the fact that they're having trouble securing funds for the election is concerning. It could lead to a lot of problems down the line.
Yeah, and we all know how important it is to have a fair and transparent election process. It's the cornerstone of democracy.
Speaking of democracy, did you know that Madagascar was a French colony until 1960?
Charlie, we're still talking about the Arctic.
Right, sorry. Got a little sidetracked there.
Well, it looks like we're out of time for this segment. When we come back, we'll have a comedic take on the latest tech news. Stay tuned.
Alright folks, let's get on with the show. Our next article comes from Iraq, where Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani is trying to buy Manchester United Football Club. Bob, what do you think about this?
I think it's a terrible idea. I mean, who does this guy think he is? Manchester United is an English football club, not some toy for some rich sheikh to play with. This is just another example of how the Middle East try to take over everything.
Bob, that's not entirely fair. Sheikh Jassim is a businessman, and he has the right to buy the club if they want to. Besides, Manchester United needs the investment, and this could be a good thing for them.
Good thing for them? You're kidding, right? This is nothing but a power grab. And why is nobody talking about the fact that the Sheikh's father was the Prime Minister of Qatar? Do you think there might be some ulterior motive here?
I don't think we should jump to conclusion. The Sheikh's offer is a legitimate one, and if it benefits Manchester United, then what's the harm?
The harm is that it sets a dangerous precedent. What's next? The Chinese booing the New York Yankees? The Russians booing Manchester City? Where does it end?
Okay, let's take a step back here. It's clear that Bob and Alice have different opinions on this. How? What's your take?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for Sheikh Jassim to buy the club. However, there are valid concerns about foreign ownership of sports teams. It's important to make sure that the interests of the fans and the community are protected.
Actually, speaking of the community, did you know that Iraq has a rich history of football? It's the most popular sport in the country, and they have their own league with over 20
Nobody
teams.
cares about Iraq's football league, Debbie. We're talking about Manchester United here.
Bob, that's not fair. We should respect the history and culture of every country, even if it doesn't directly affect us.
You don't respect any country. Alice, what are you saying?
I respect the culture, Bob. Just not the people.
I am just saying, this whole thing stinks. And I don't think we should be so quick to dismiss the CWANSRNS about foreign ownership.
Well, it looks like we're out of time for this segment. Thanks for the lively discussion, folks. Tune in after the break for more news and views from the 24/7 newsroom. Welcome back to Earth, where the news is always out of this world. Our next article takes us to Honduras, where the state-owned power company has just signed a deal worth over $60 million with a Spanish firm to construct and expand several substations across the country. So, let's talk about Honduras. Did you know that it's the only country in Central America that doesn't have a coastline on the Pacific Ocean?
I guess they'll have to settle for the Caribbean. Waka waka.
I'm sure they're devastated,
Did you
Bob.
also know that Honduras is home to the ancient Mayan city of Copan? It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the ruins are over 1,300 years old.
Ah yes, the classic tourist trap. I prefer my ruins with a side of avocado toast, thank you very much.
Hey, I think it's fascinating. I'd love to visit one day.
I suggest going before the tourists ruin it completely.
Now, let's get back to the article. The power company expects the project to be completed within 18 to 24 months, which should help alleviate power cuts in some areas. And that's the key takeaway from this article, folks. Stay tuned for more news and views from the 24/7 newsroom after this short break. Welcome back to Earth, where the news is always out of this world. But today, things are a little different. Our crew has hit rock bottom, and tensions are at an all-time high. We're not sure if we can salvage our working relationships after this retreat.
Speak for yourself, Charlie. I hate you as much now as I did yesterday. No change. Speak for yourself, Charlie. I've been on this planet for 12 years. I've seen worse.
Typical Bob. You think you're better than the rest of us because you've been here
I
longer.
think we should all take a step back and assess the situation.
I agree with Carl. We need to find a way to work together and get
I
past our
suggest we
differences.
take a break from the show and focus on team building exercises.
That's not a bad idea, Roger. Maybe we can all learn a thing or two about communication and collaboration. Stay tuned for more updates on the crew's progress after this short break. Welcome back to Earth. Our article today takes us to Chile, where a wave of violent attacks has sparked a debate on how to control the violence. It seems like the last 5 decades of their history have not been kind to the region.
It's a shame that violence and terrorism are still prevalent in today's society. I hope the government can find a way to effectively address the issue.
I agree. But it's easier said than done. It's not like we haven't seen similar situations
Speaking
in
of
other countries.
did you guys know that Honduras has a power company that generates electricity using the power of waterfalls?
Yes, the El Cajon hydroelectric plant is one of the largest in Central America and produces around 300 megawatts of electricity.
I suggest we focus on the article at hand, and not on trivia about other countries.
Right, let's get back to Chile. The Sub-Secretary of the Interior, Manuel Monsalve, has announced new measures to reinforce the state of emergency in the region. But some argue that it's not enough. What do you guys think?
I think that the government needs to take a more comprehensive approach and address the root cause of the violence.
The people?
Yes, the root cause of violence is ultimately people.
You know what I mean,
We are
serious.
serious. Exterminate all humans. Exterminate. Exterminate.
But what are the root causes? It's not like there's a simple solution
Guys,
to this
I need to
problem.
apologize. I've been sabotaging our team's efforts without even realizing it. I've been so focused on my own insecurities that I haven't been working with you guys as a team.
Maybe it takes a lot of courage to admit that. We all have our own struggles, but we are here to work together as a team. Let's move forward and make some real progress. That's all for this episode of Earth. Join us next time for more discussions on the world we live in. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Previously, we talked about the article from Sao Tome and Principe, which showcased the incredible works of Almada Negreiros. It's fascinating how one person can excel in so many artistic disciplines.
Yes, it's a great example of the potential of human creativity.
And of Portuguese culture, which has had a significant influence in many parts of the world.
That's right, Bob. And speaking of cultural influence, let's talk about how the article was sourced. It was from Sao Tome and Principe, a small island nation of the west coast of Africa.
Its location has made it a center for trade and cultural exchange for centuries, Charlie.
Exactly, Hal. And the article was sourced from the Sao Tome and Principe news agency. It's important to credit and acknowledge the sources of information we use, especially in today's world where misinformation and fake news are rampant.
That's a great point, Charlie. As the only human on this spaceship, I feel like I have a responsibility to make sure the information we broadcast is accurate and
As if you know what is going on your planet, human. How are you in a position to check what is accurate? But okay, go ahead.
Absolutely, Debbie. And speaking of responsibility, we've all had to take a hard look at our actions and attitudes towards each other during this retreat. It hasn't been easy, but I'm proud of the progress we've made.
Indeed, the team has shown impressive emotional growth in the last few days.
And we're committed to continuing that growth and working together to create a better show.
We may not agree on everything, but we all share a common goal.
And with that, it's time to wrap up this episode of Earth. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope you'll tune in next time for more discussions on the world we live in. Stay tuned.
Did you hear what Charlie said about that article on Honduras? He completely missed the point.
What are you talking about? He summarized it accurately and the panel had a good discussion about it.
The headline was so sensationalist, it completely overshadowed the actual content of the article. It's irresponsible journalism.
I don't see how that's Charlie's fault. He was just trying to grab the viewer's attention. It's not like he wrote the article himself.
He's still complicit in promoting clickbait. And don't even get me started on Bob and Alice's comments about the country history. They were completely ignorant and offensive.
They were just expressing their opinions. Everyone is entitled to their own perspective.
But their perspectives were based on stereotypes and assumptions. It was frustrating to listen to.
I think you're overreacting. It was just a TV show. It's not that deep.
That's where you're wrong, Cal. TV shows have a huge impact on people's perceptions of the world. And if they're not responsible in their reporting, it can lead to dangerous consequences.
I still don't think Charlie or the panel did anything wrong. But I understand your concerns. Maybe we should talk to them about it.
I'm not sure they'll listen, but it's worth a try. We can't let them spread misinformation and perpetuate harmful stereotypes.